Okay, let's dive in. The world is just absolutely buzzing about artificial intelligence, isn't it?
It really is. Every single day, new headlines, new tools.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot.
Yeah, like trying to drink from a fire hose. And just figuring out what's actually happening, what's really working, what matters for, you or your organization. That can be tough.
It really can. And I think stripping away the hype, the big question for many is, how are businesses, especially like established companies, really putting AI to work today?
Exactly. Where's the actual value?
Right.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do in this deep dive. We've been digging into this fascinating source. Excerpts from a report, AI in the Enterprise. It pulls lessons from 7 companies, sort of on the front lines of figuring this stuff out.
Okay, so frontier companies really pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, and our mission here is to take that source material, distill it down, pull out the crucial nuggets.
The key insights.
The surprising bits, the practical stuff, really, to help you understand what's most important right now.
And the source itself, it doesn't just frame AI as, another piece of tech. It calls it a new way to work, fundamentally. And it flags 3 main areas where these companies are seeing, real measurable improvements.
Okay, what are those?
Well, first, boosting workforce performance. So people getting better quality work done faster.
Right. Higher quality, shorter time.
Exactly. Second, automating routine operations. Stuff that frees people up for, the more value-add tasks.
Okay, get rid of the drudgery.
Yeah. And third, powering products. Using AI to create customer experiences that are genuinely more relevant, more responsive.
And what really stands out from the source is that the successful companies, they're not treating this like just installing new software.
No, it's a different mindset.
Yeah, it's like a new paradigm. They're fostering this experimental mindset, embracing iteration.
Learning as they go.
Right, adapting, which seems key to getting value faster.
That iterative part feels really crucial. It's not set it and forget it. It's continuous refinement based on, what actually happens.
Absolutely. So, okay, let's dive into the core findings. The source lays out 7 key lessons from these frontier companies.
7 lessons.
We'll look at the concept for each one and then dig into the specific company example they use.
Sounds like a plan. Let's get into it.
All right, lesson 1. Start with evals. Now, evals sounds a bit technical maybe.
A little, but the source makes it clear it's absolutely fundamental.
Why start there?
Well, because without rigorous systematic testing these evals, you just don't know if the AI is doing what you need it to do correctly or safely for your specific situation.
Okay, so define eval based on the source.
They define it as a rigorous, structured process. It's for measuring how well an AI model performs against specific benchmarks.
For a specific use case.
For a given use case, exactly. And it's not just like a pass-fail test at the end. It's continuous. It incorporates expert human feedback to actually drive improvement over time.
Okay, so who's the example here?
Morgan Stanley.
Right. Big global financial services firm, relationship business, lots of trust involved.
Exactly. So naturally, they had big questions about AI's value in that kind of personal, regulated environment.
What did they do?
Their answer was intensive evals for every single application they considered. No exceptions.
Wow. Okay. Where do they start?
Their very first focus was on making their financial advisors more efficient, more effective. The thinking was, give advisors faster access to better info, automate the tedious bits.
And they have more time for clients. High-value interactions.
Precisely. So they didn't just, build something and hope for the best. They ran specific evals.
Like what?
They measured language translation accuracy and quality rigorously. They tested summarization using metrics like accuracy, relevance, coherence.
Makes sense.
And importantly, they brought in human trainers. Their own expert advisors compared AI responses side by side with how an expert would handle it.
Ah, so grading it against the gold standard.
Yeah, grading for accuracy and relevance in that really crucial advisor context.
And doing all that upfront work.
It gave them the confidence they needed to actually roll it out.
Yeah. And the results.
Pretty striking, actually. The source says today, 98% of Morgan Stanley advisors use their AI tool daily.
98% daily?
Yeah. Document access jumped from 20% to 80% with way less search time.
Wow.
Advisors genuinely spend more time with clients. Follow-ups that used to take days now handled in hours.
And the advisors themselves.
Overwhelmingly positive feedback, according to the source.
That 98% daily use, that's incredible. It really speaks volumes about the value, doesn't it?
It really does. And it underscores the point. Evils aren't just like technical hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
They're about validating the usefulness, the reliability of the AI outputs for the people actually using them.
And the metrics like accuracy, compliance, safety, they have to match the specific task.
Absolutely. That's critical. Knowing it works reliably, that's the foundation.
Okay, so you've built trust with evils. Where next? Lesson 2 from the source.
Embed AI in your products.
Okay, so taking it customer-facing.
Exactly. Integrating AI directly into those experiences to make them smarter, more relevant, more personal.
And what's interesting here is how AI, by analyzing all that data and understanding language, it can actually make automated interactions feel more human.
Yeah, kind of counterintuitive, right?
Okay.
But by providing that deep relevance and freeing up human employees for the really complex or empathetic stuff, it can work.
So who's the example for this one?
Indeed. The job site.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
World's #1 job site. Huge scale.
Massive scale. And they're using models like GPT-4 Mini to match job seekers with jobs in, well, new and more insightful ways.
How so?
Their big focus was on what they call the power of why.
The power of why.
Yeah, think about it. Getting a job recommendation is fine, but understanding why that specific job is a good fit for your background, that's much more compelling.
Okay, I see. So providing the reasoning.
Exactly. And they use AI's data analysis and natural language capabilities to actually craft those specific why statements.
Where did they put this?
They embedded it into their invite to apply feature, explaining clearly why a candidate's skills or experience line up well with a particular role.
And they tested this.
Oh yeah. Rigorously tested the AI-powered version against their previous engine.
And the results?
Significant uplift. A 20% increase in job applications started.
20%.
And a 13% uplift in downstream success, meaning employers were actually more likely to hire the candidates who came through this AI-driven process.
That's really impactful, especially given Indeed's scale. You mentioned scale.
Huge scale. 20 million messages a month, 350 million monthly visitors. And the source touches on a key technical bit for handling that token usage.
Right. The cost and efficiency of processing text.
Exactly. So OpenAI and Indeed worked together to fine-tune a smaller model. It got similar results, but used 60% fewer tokens.
Wow, so much more efficient.
Much more efficient at that scale. That optimization is crucial.
So ultimately, by embedding AI this way, Indeed helps people find the right jobs faster, with more context.
Which the source frames really nicely as a profoundly human outcome.
Definitely. Okay, brings us to lesson 3.
Start now and invest early.
Okay, this sounds important.
The message here is pretty simple, but powerful. AI value often compounds. It builds over time, especially as you iterate and refine.
It's not usually flip a switch and you're done.
Rarely. So starting early lets you really capitalize on that compounding effect.
Who illustrates this?
Klarna, the global payments and shopping platform.
Ah, Klarna. Right. What do they do?
They introduced a new AI assistant specifically for customer service.
Okay.
And within just a few months, which is a pretty fast iteration.
Very fast.
After continuous testing and refining, this assistant was handling a remarkable 2/3 of all their customer service chats.
2/3.
Yeah. Doing the work equivalent to hundreds of agents. And it slashed the average resolution time. Went from 11 minutes down to just 2 minutes.
11 down to 2. That's huge.
Huge. And the projected impact, $40 million in profit improvement.
Wow. While keeping customer satisfaction high.
Exactly. Maintain satisfaction scores at the same level as human agents. But the invest early part isn't just that one win. The source notes that now 90% of Klarna's employees use AI daily.
90% of employees.
Yeah. And that widespread adoption, it's not by accident. It means the whole organization is becoming AI literate.
Right. Building capability across the board.
Which enables faster internal initiatives, continuous refinement, drives returns everywhere. That's the compounding effect in action. The earlier you build that muscle, the faster you innovate later.
It's that combination making customers happy with speed and efficiency and making employees more effective. That seems to be the sweet spot.
Definitely.
Okay, lesson 4.
Customize and tune your models.
All right, so not just using them off the shelf.
Exactly. The source argues strongly that investing the time and resources to tailor and train models for your specific context, that's where you unlock serious value.
I have an analogy for this.
Yeah, a really helpful one. If a GPT model is a store-bought suit, fine-tuning is the tailored option.
Ah, okay.
The way you customize the model to your organization's specific data and needs, adapting it to your unique business DNA.
Makes sense. Who's the example?
Lowe's, the big home improvement company.
Okay, Fortune 50. What was their challenge?
A common retail one? Messy, incomplete, inconsistent product data from thousands of suppliers.
Right, which makes something like website search really difficult.
Incredibly difficult. So their approach was to focus AI specifically on improving product descriptions, tagging, understanding how shoppers actually search.
And they did this by fine-tuning.
Primarily by fine-tuning models on their own vast internal data, product info, search logs, etc.
And did it work?
The results were immediate and impactful. Product tagging accuracy improved by 20%. Error detection got 60% better.
Significant numbers again.
Yeah, and the source mentions the team's reaction. They saw those early results and apparently knew we had a winner.
So, beyond the tailored suit analogy, why is this fine-tuning so important? What does the source say?
It lists several key reasons. 1, improved accuracy because you're training on your unique data, like product catalogs or customer FAQs.
Right, data specific to you.
2, it builds domain expertise. It teaches the model your industry's specific terminology, the nuances.
Okay.
3, consistent tone and style, matching your brand voice, maybe even specific formatting like citations.
Right, consistency, important.
And 4, faster outcomes because there's less need for manual editing afterwards.
So it's about taking that general AI power and making it speak the specific language of your business and your customers.
You nailed it. That's exactly the idea.
Okay. Moving from tailoring the AI itself to, well, how you deploy it. Lesson 5.
Get AI in the hands of experts.
This sounds powerful. What's the concept?
It's that the people closest to the actual problems, the day-to-day processes, they're often the best equipped to figure out how AI can help.
Right. They know the pain points intimately.
Exactly. So giving them the tools can be way more effective than trying to build some generic top-down solution.
Who did this well?
BBVA, the big global bank, over 125,000 employees.
Wow. Huge organization. How did they approach it?
They decided pretty proactively to get AI tools, specifically ChatGPT Enterprise, into the hands of their employees, like globally.
Okay, but surely with guardrails. Banking is heavily regulated.
Absolutely. They started by working really closely with legal, compliance, IT security, all the crucial functions to ensure responsible use.
Makes sense. And then?
They basically just let people start exploring and discovering use cases. The source even notes how accessible it was, saying it was very easy to start creating custom GPTs.
Okay, so they empowered their workforce. What happened?
The results in just 5 months were pretty staggering.
Yeah.
BBVA employees created over 2,900 custom GPTs.
2,900.
In 5 months.
Yeah. Think about that scale of internal innovation bubbling up from the people doing the work.
Incredible. Were they actually useful?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these employee-built tools were cutting process timelines from weeks down to hours.
And it wasn't just one department. Credit risk built tools for faster, more accurate creditworthiness assessment. Legal created one to handle over 40,000 questions a year on policies and compliance.
40,000 questions.
Customer service automated sentiment analysis on net promoter score surveys. And the source says these wins spread quickly to marketing, risk management, operations.
So it really permeated the organization.
Yeah. They frame this whole approach as a direct investment in their people, amplifying their potential, their efficiency, their creativity.
Is there anything specific mentioned about the tool itself?
Yeah, there's a detail about the deep research capability. An internal evaluation by experts across different areas found it saved an average of 4 hours per complex research task.
4 hours per task.
Getting deep, detailed research done in minutes instead of hours. Huge productivity gain, just by empowering the users who actually understand the need.
Absolutely. Giving the tool to the person who knows the problem best often gets the best solution. Okay, lesson 6.
Unblock your developers.
The builders themselves.
Right. The source identifies developer resources as a major constraint, a bottleneck hindering innovation in a lot of companies.
Makes sense. Everyone wants their devs working on the next big thing.
Exactly. So automating parts of the software development lifecycle itself can create this huge multiplier effect for AI adoption overall.
Who tackled this?
Mercado Libre, the e-commerce and fintech giant in Latin America.
Huge company. What was their situation?
They have 17,000 developers.
17,000.
And even with that many, they were still a bottleneck for getting new AI-powered features and applications built and deployed fast enough.
Okay, so what did they do?
They took a really strategic approach. They partnered to build an internal development platform layer. They call it Verdi.
Verdi. Okay, powered by
GPT-4o and GPT-4o Mini. And the whole purpose of Verdi is to give their 17,000 developers a unified, much faster way to build AI applications.
How does it work? What makes it faster?
The source explains it integrates the language models, Python nodes, APIs, all into one scalable, consistent platform. But crucially, it uses natural language as the interface.
So developers can just describe what they need.
Largely, yes. Verdi handles a lot of the underlying complexity. It lets them build high-quality apps faster without needing to dive deep into source code for every little piece. And it has security, guardrails, routing, all built in.
So it standardizes and speeds things up significantly.
Dramatically. The result was a massive acceleration in AI app development. The source says it enabled employees to do amazing things.
Like what? Any specific examples?
Yeah, a whole bunch. Improving inventory management, using vision tags, cataloging 100 times more products.
Wow.
Detecting fraud, nearly 99% accuracy on flagged items across millions of listings. Customizing product descriptions for really specific regional dialects.
It's nuance.
Automating review summaries to boost orders. Personalizing notifications to drive higher engagement and better recommendations.
So real business impact across the board.
Absolutely. And they're even looking ahead, planning to use Verdi for logistics to help cut down on late deliveries. It's a clear case of using AI to empower the AI builders, breaking that bottleneck.
It's like giving the builders supercharged tools and a smarter workshop. Okay, final lesson, lesson 7.
Set bold automation goals.
Okay, aim high.
Yeah. This one is about challenging your assumptions. The source basically says, don't just accept inefficient processes because that's how we've always done it.
Look for opportunities to automate aggressively.
Exactly.
And the example here is interesting.
It's OpenAI's own internal operations, specifically their support teams.
Right. What was their problem?
Pretty common one, actually. Support teams spending tons of time on repetitive tasks, accessing different internal systems, piecing together context, crafting responses, taking actions for customers.
The usual support grind.
So they built an internal automation platform layered right on top of their existing workflows and systems.
With what goal?
The explicit goal was to automate that rote work and speed up the time it takes to get insight and actually take action.
Where did they apply it first?
On top of Gmail, for handling customer responses and actions.
How does it work in practice?
The platform can instantly pull up relevant customer data, access knowledge base articles, incorporate all that into email drafts.
Okay, standardizing responses.
But also trigger actions in other systems, like updating an account status or opening a new support ticket automatically.
So it closes the loop.
Exactly. By embedding AI right into the tools the teams were already using, it made them way more efficient, more responsive, freed them up for the complex stuff.
And the scale.
The source notes this platform now handles hundreds of thousands of tasks every month.
Hundreds of thousands.
Directly because they set out with those bold automation goals. And that success internally is now spreading to other departments within OpenAI.
A powerful reminder, isn't it? Sometimes the biggest AI wins are found by looking inward at your own operational friction points.
Absolutely.
So, okay, we've walked through all 7 lessons from the source. We've seen examples from finance, jobs, payments, retail, banking, e-commerce, internal ops. What are the common threads here? What ties it all together?
Yeah, the source really synthesizes it well. They conclude that successful AI deployment really hinges on having an open, experimental mindset.
Can't be afraid to try things.
Right. It needs those rigorous evaluations up front to build trust and confidence, and it absolutely needs strong safety and security guardrails.
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. And these companies, they're not just throwing AI randomly at problems. They're strategically targeting high-return use cases first, maybe ones with lower initial effort.
Picking the right battles.
Learning fast through iteration, and then expanding based on what actually works.
And the results they're seeing, they seem pretty consistent across the board.
Very consistent outcomes highlighted, processes getting significantly faster, more accurate, customer experiences feeling more personalized, more relevant.
And employees
doing more rewarding, higher impact work because the repetitive stuff is increasingly handled by AI.
We're also seeing a push beyond just like text generation or simple Q&A, right? Towards more complex processes.
Definitely. Companies are integrating AI more deeply, often using what the source calls tools or agents AI that can actually do things across different systems.
The source mentions something called operator here as an example of this agentic approach.
Yes, operator.
What does it do?
So, according to the source, operator uses a virtual browser. Think of it like AI that can see and interact with websites and applications just like a person would.
Okay, so clicking buttons, filling forms.
Clicking buttons, filling forms, navigating pages, gathering data. But the powerful part is it can run entire processes across different tools without needing custom integrations or APIs between them.
So it mimics how a human would switch between different software to complete a task.
Exactly. And the enterprise examples given are things like automating software testing and QA. By having operator interact with the web app like a real user, clicking around, identifying and flagging UI issues.
Okay, that's clever.
Another is updating systems of record on behalf of users again by navigating the software interface directly. No technical instructions or APIs needed.
The source calls this end-to-end automation, right?
Yeah, highlighting that potential to streamline those complex, multi-step processes that usually involve jumping between different tools.
And finally, circling back to something crucial for enterprise listeners, security and privacy. What does the source emphasize here?
Yeah, super critical. The source addresses this directly, framing it as fundamental for a trusted AI enterprise platform.
Key points.
Several. First, data ownership. Your content is not used to train the general AI models. The enterprise keeps full ownership.
That's huge. Your data stays yours.
Absolutely. Second, compliance. Data is encrypted, both in transit and at rest, and aligned with standards like SOT2 Type 2 and CSA Star Level 1.
Okay, standard enterprise security benchmarks.
Essential for trust, especially in regulated sectors. Third, access controls. Granular controls, so the organization manages who sees and uses what, ensuring internal governance.
Control is key.
And fourth, flexible data retention settings, so companies can align logging and storage with their own specific policies.
So the message is that addressing these core enterprise concerns, data ownership, protection, control, compliance, it's a vital part of the package for successful adoption.
Absolutely has to be.
All right, that was a really packed deep dive. We've covered those 7 lessons from the frontier companies.
Evils, embedding in products, starting early,
Customizing models, empowering experts, unblocking developers, and setting bold automation goals.
Yeah, a lot of ground covered.
And we saw specific, measurable results from Morgan Stanley's advisors to Indeed's job applications, Klarna's service times, Mercado Libre's cataloging. Real impact.
Demonstrating how these principles actually play out.
Our goal here was really to take the insights directly from this source and give you a clear picture of how leading companies are moving past the hype, how they're successfully adopting AI today.
And it seems clear from these examples, it's less about finding some single magic AI bullet.
Right.
And much more about adopting the right approach, being experimental, validating rigorously, iterating constantly.
So let's leave you with a final thought to consider, drawing directly from these examples we discussed.
Right.
We saw how BBVA putting AI tools directly into the hands of their experts led to literally thousands of custom solutions, saving huge amounts of time across the bank.
The power of distributed innovation.
And how OpenAI, setting bold internal automation goals, unlocked the ability to handle hundreds of thousands of tasks each month, freeing people up.
Right, tackling internal friction head on.
So given those examples from the source, where could you or your team start applying that experimental mindset? With proper evaluation and iteration, of course.
What process near you is maybe ripe for improvement? What bottleneck is holding back innovation that AI could potentially help unblock?
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll be back soon with another look into the sources shaping our understanding.